So now that we have the solar array built, the solar panels installed, all of the wiring going into the combiner boxes and sent down here to the powerhouse, now it's time to start wiring in the powerhouse. It's dark in here. Let's fix that. So a little while back, we pulled these 6 8-gauge wires and a ground down from our solar array. These come from the combiner boxes. They will bring the DC power from the solar panels into our solar charge controllers. Oh no, it's like spaghetti mess. And we're going to pull these wires through to get it close, and then I'll glue it. And get the level. That's good.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
So our next step is we're going to be installing the solar disconnects coming from the solar array. So Amy and I have pulled all the wire down from the solar panels, and it's going to come into this trough, and then the wires will come up into these disconnect boxes. We'll actually run only 3 of these 4 breakers. The 4th breaker is there for future expansion if we ever needed more solar panels. So many wires. So here we have the positive and the negative wires coming down from our number 1 position on our solar combiner box. And it's going to go up into this solar disconnect and 2. So we are going to put ferrules on the end of each of these. Makes a nice little square end. What these do is they keep the wires from splaying out and keep them nice and contained into a little square for the breakers to squeeze down on. We'll do the negative first. How about that? And now we'll do the positive. Torqued. There we go. Just like that.
I can hear it. Here it comes.
Yay! That's about good.
Okay.
All right, so we got our 120 volt outlet wired in. Everything's off right now. Wired in here. So it's coming out of the inverter down through here and into our 50 amp AC combiner box. So this will be turning on the 50 amp circuit from both inverters that will then feed, once we put it in, up and over to our main panel. So our solar system is going to be using 8 of these EG4 lifepower 48 volt 100 amp hour batteries.
A belly press.
Put it on your belly. Watch your fingers. Easy peasy. Okay, I'm gonna switch to the back.
Money.
Oh my goodness, these things weigh so much. Okay.
Thank you, ladies.
You're welcome.
You've officially worn out a pair of gloves.
It's a beautiful moment.
Okay. Perfect. So it's always important to torque all of our terminals to the proper spec. So we're going to set our torque wrench to 60 inch-pounds and torque these terminals. And it's really good that we did that because I would have torqued it a lot more than that if I was just going to do it till it feels right. We haven't torqued these down on our bus bar yet. It may look a bit like a spaghetti mess and we'll try to control it as best we can, but it's always important that all of your conductors are the exact same length going from the batteries to the bus bars. Because if you had a shorter connector, if we just had one this long, this battery would drain faster than the others because the others have a more resistance, albeit small, going to the bus bar. So it's important that every conductor from the battery to the bus bars are the exact same length. On a typical server rack that you would buy at a store, they've got a solid bus bar that goes all the way down, and each jumper is the same length going to that bus bar. But since this is home built, we do things a little different. So each one of our batteries has a BMS, or a battery management system, built into it. And in order for all of these batteries to talk to each other, we have to add a communication wire.
Blue sky is just awesome.
So on these dip switches, the EG4 paperwork is a little bit confusing because you have the white raised part of the switch here, but in the paperwork, the white raised part of the switch is identified by the black in the picture. So to do the master control battery dip switches, they all need to be in the down position to signify that it is the master.
Up, down, down, down.
Number 2.
Down, up, down, down.
Number 3.
Up, up, down, down.
Number 4.
Down, down, up, down.
Number 5.
Up, down, up, down.
Up, down, up, down. 6.
Down, up, down.
Down, up, down. 7.
Up, down.
Up, down. All right. Now that we have all of our dip switches in the proper settings, they're all going to be talking to our master BMS. We'll go ahead and turn all the batteries back on. You don't want to cut all the way through because you'll cut those tiny little wires. And then we put our 4-aught connector right on there. And then we put it into our hydraulic crimper. We get it nice and snug and then crimp it. And that makes a really nice mechanical crimp. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to cut this apart and show how nicely crimped it is. So you can see that that is a tightly packed mechanical crimp.
Yeah, basically solid.
The trees, they are singing to the tune of a song.
We've got our shop power almost ready to hook up to the solar system, but before we do that, we have to ground the shop. So because it's a sub panel, it's not the main panel, sub panels get grounded but not bonded. So we're gonna ground the shop.
Jeff's stronger than the roto hammer.
Is it moving?
Sure.
Oh yeah, it's moving. It is definitely
Bedrock.
hitting something solid. So we got our ground rod driven 8 feet into the ground, and now we're going to connect this bare copper ground wire to our ground bus bar here. So that's nice and tight. And now we're going to pull it back out to the ground rod and attach it to the acorn.
So you see the copper wire coming out of the building. That's connected to the grounding rod.
And the wind is gently ringing, the bell that brings the morning, the welcome of the dawn.
Okay, we've got all of our solar panels wired in. We're going to turn on the fuses. You turn on fuses, we're going to install the fuses. We've got power in the proper polarity. And we're going to turn on our breaker, sending power down to the powerhouse. Well, and just like that, the solar powerhouse is wired in. I started working fast and we stopped filming a little bit, but let's go over what we've got. So what we have is our 8 EG4 48 volt lifepower batteries. All of the dip switches are set, so we have our master control battery on top, and then all the rest are talking to it. Hopefully one of the next steps will be is to get the batteries talking with the inverters, but that will be for another day. From the batteries, we go through 2 different shunts. We have our Victron shunt, and then we have Amazon shunt, which will hopefully give us some more visual information, but I've got to work on programming that as well. From the shunts and from the positive bus bars, we come over here. We go through our 400 amp T-class fuse. I have a rapid disconnect here that we can kill power quickly if we needed to. Then it goes through manifolds. We have our charge verter coming up from underneath the folding table here that we will use if we have to ever charge our batteries with the generator. From there, it's going to go up into inverter number 2, as well as up into inverter number 1. We have these set up for split phase 240 power. From each inverter, we've got the output wires coming into our solar AC combiner box. So we have 2 legs of 120 coming into the combiner box for our AC side, and that combines it into a disconnect that then goes into our 100 amp service going into our main panel here in the powerhouse. So you might be saying that 2 inverters is just a 50 amp service, and you're right, but our plan is that we wanted to build this so we could scale it. So we could always add more batteries. If we do need more than a 50 amp service, we could add 2 more LV6548 inverters. We could put another one here, and we could put another one over here, and that would give us a 100 amp service. So that's why we put wire sizing from the AC combiner to the main panel as a 100 amp service feed.
I saw you down the motorway. There was something about you that day. I can still hear the shimmering sound